In a quiet, unassuming alley tucked between towering city buildings, life was anything but ordinary for Hope, a blind mother cat. Despite her lack of sight, Hope had learned to navigate the harsh streets with resilience. Her blindness had not diminished her spirit, it had sharpened her other senses to extraordinary levels. Her ears, always alert, could detect the faintest sounds, the rustle of a leaf, footsteps echoing blocks away, or the subtle hum of a distant engine. But her greatest ally was her nose, capable of identifying food, people, or danger long before others could. Hope had found a rhythm to her life, a delicate balance of survival. But her world changed with the arrival of her only kitten, Lucky. Born in the corner of an old abandoned warehouse, Lucky was her miracle, her reason to endure. Though small and fragile, he brought purpose and joy to her existence. Every day, Hope guided him, teaching him the ways of survival and keeping him close, her ears attuned to his tiny movements and her gentle purrs offering reassurance. For the first few weeks, life was manageable. Hope scavenged enough food to keep them both fed, and the bond between mother and son grew unshakable, a connection built on trust and unspoken understanding. But the streets were cruel, and every day was a battle. One fateful afternoon, as Hope rested in the shade of a dumpster, Lucky wandered farther than usual. Curious and adventurous, like all kittens, he chased the shadow of a fluttering bird. His playful exploration soon turned into danger when a large, hungry stray dog spotted him. Sensing the threat, Lucky froze for a moment before bolting for safety. The chase was intense. The tiny kitten darted under trash bins, squeezed through narrow gaps, and finally found refuge in a small hole in a crumbling brick wall where the dog couldn't reach him. But the escape came at a cost. Lucky had been bitten on his hind leg. Injured and trembling, he limped back toward his mother as the sun began to set, leaving faint traces of blood in his wake. When he finally reached Hope, he collapsed at her side, letting out a faint, pitiful meow. Hope, sensing something was wrong, immediately nuzzled him, her nose picking up the metallic scent of blood. Her heart ached as she tried to comfort him with gentle licks and soft purrs. Hope knew Lucky's injuries were beyond her ability to heal. Desperation surged through her. Guided by an instinctive memory of a faint, healing scent she had once encountered, she made a decision. Picking up Lucky by the scruff of his neck, she began a perilous journey through the labyrinth of the city, her heightened senses her only guide. Each step was fraught with challenges, uneven ground, distant traffic, and the constant threat of other animals. After hours of tireless effort, Hope found herself in front of a small house just as dawn broke. The scent of antiseptics and herbs was unmistakable. Summoning all her strength, she placed Lucky gently on the doorstep and began to meow loudly, her cries filled with urgency and desperation. Inside, Carlos, a young doctor dedicated to helping both people and animals, was startled awake. Rubbing his eyes, he opened the door to a sight that took his breath away, a blind mother cat sitting protectively beside her injured kitten, her clouded eyes seemingly pleading for help. Moved by the scene, Carlos carefully scooped them up and carried them inside, his mind racing with thoughts of how to save the fragile life before him. Carlos worked tirelessly to treat Lucky's wounds, his gentle hands cleaning the bite and administering antibiotics. Throughout the process, Hope stayed close, her soft, worried meows filling the room. Her trust in the stranger was evident, and Carlos spoke soothingly to her as he worked. "It's okay, Mama. I'll do my best," he murmured. Over the next few days, Carlos cared for both mother and kitten, providing food, warmth, and safety. Lucky began to regain strength, his tiny purrs signaling his recovery. Hope, though blind, seemed to understand that they were safe. Carlos, deeply moved by their bond and resilience, resolved to give them a better life. As Carlos examined Hope, he discovered that her blindness might be due to cataracts, a condition potentially treatable. Inspired by the possibility of restoring her sight, he began researching treatments and eventually performed a delicate procedure. Weeks later, as Hope's vision began to return, the moment she clearly saw Lucky for the first time was unforgettable. She gazed at him with newfound clarity, nudging him gently before pulling him close, purring deeply as if to say, "I see you now. You're mine." With her sight restored, Hope's personality blossomed. She became playful and curious, exploring her surroundings and even joining Lucky in his mischievous antics. Carlos, watching their transformation, knew he couldn't part with them. They had become more than just patients, they were family. The trio's bond grew stronger each day. Hope and Lucky thrived in their new home, and Carlos found a renewed sense of purpose. Inspired by their story, he began volunteering at animal shelters and sharing their journey online, raising awareness about compassion for animals. Hope's journey from darkness to light, Lucky's recovery, and Carlos's rediscovery of joy became a testament to the transformative power of love and kindness. Together, they had created a new chapter of life filled with hope, resilience, and the enduring bonds of family. Hope's transformation was nothing short of extraordinary. As her vision sharpened, so did her zest for life. No longer bound by darkness, she embraced every new sight with awe, from the fluttering wings of birds outside the window to the warm glow of the sunset that bathed the room in golden hues. Lucky, now a sprightly young cat, took full advantage of his mother's newfound energy, engaging her in endless games of chase and playful pounces. Their laughter, or the feline equivalent of it, echoed throughout the house, filling it with life and joy. Carlos, too, found his world forever altered. Hope and Lucky had brought more than companionship into his life, they had reignited a passion for helping animals and people alike. Inspired by their story, he expanded his practice, offering free clinics for stray animals and partnering with shelters to provide care for those who needed it most. Word spread quickly about the kind-hearted vet who had saved a blind mother cat and her kitten, and his little clinic became a beacon of hope for both humans and animals in the community. One day, as Carlos was setting up for a busy day at the clinic, a knock at the door startled him. A young girl stood outside, clutching a worn cardboard box. Inside, nestled in old towels, were 3 tiny kittens, their eyes barely open. "I found them in an alley," the girl said softly, her voice trembling. "I didn't know what to do, but I remembered your story about Hope and Lucky." Carlos's heart swelled with emotion as he gently took the box from her hands. Hope, sitting by the window, perked up at the sound of the girl's voice and leaped gracefully from her perch to investigate. She sniffed the box carefully before nudging it with her nose, her motherly instincts kicking in. Lucky, ever curious, patted over and peeked inside, his wide eyes sparkling with interest. The sight of Hope and Lucky inspecting the newcomers brought a smile to Carlos's face. "Don't worry," he assured the girl. "We'll take good care of them." He knew that this moment was the beginning of a new chapter, not just for the kittens but for the community that had rallied around Hope's story. Over time, the kittens grew under the watchful eyes of Hope, Lucky, and Carlos. The once abandoned trio became the heart of a growing network of care and compassion, inspiring others to open their hearts and homes to animals in need. Hope's journey from despair to joy became a symbol of resilience, proving that even in the darkest of times, love and kindness could light the way. As the years went by, Hope and Lucky continued to thrive, their bond with Carlos unbroken. They had become a family in every sense of the word, a living testament to the power of second chances. And as Carlos sat by the window one evening, watching Hope and Lucky play in the garden, he couldn't help but feel a profound sense of gratitude. In their own way, they had saved him as much as he had saved them. As time passed, Hope and Lucky became icons in the small community Carlos called home. People who had once walked past stray animals without a second thought now stopped to care for them, inspired by the story of the blind mother cat who refused to give up. Carlos' clinic blossomed into a sanctuary not only for animals in need but for people seeking inspiration and connection. Hope, now fully sighted, had developed a regal air about her. She would perch on the reception desk of the clinic, her green eyes scanning everyone who entered. Children adored her, often bringing her treats or drawing pictures of her and Lucky. Despite her newfound vision, Hope still relied on her other heightened senses, particularly her nose and ears, to interact with the world. She had become a symbol of resilience, her journey from blindness to sight inspiring everyone who met her. Lucky, on the other hand, was the clinic's mischief maker. No bookshelf was safe from his curious paws, and Carlos often found his paperwork scattered across the floor thanks to Lucky's impromptu play sessions. But his playful antics endeared him to everyone. Patients and visitors alike would often leave the clinic with stories of Lucky's hijinks, his playful energy a balm to those needing a little cheer in their lives. One sunny afternoon, as Carlos sat in his small office reviewing case notes, he glanced out the window and saw a familiar sight. Hope was lounging in the garden, the sunlight catching her sleek fur, while Lucky darted around her, pouncing on leaves and chasing butterflies. It was a serene moment, one that spoke of peace and contentment, a far cry from their harrowing past. Suddenly, Carlos's phone buzzed with a message. It was from a local journalist who had been following Hope and Lucky's story since the day they arrived at Carlos's doorstep. She wanted to write a feature about the clinic, Hope, Lucky, and how their story had sparked a movement of compassion in the community. Carlos hesitated for a moment before replying. He wasn't one to seek attention, but he realized that sharing their story on a larger scale could inspire even more people to help animals in need. He agreed to the interview, and within weeks, a beautifully written article accompanied by heartwarming photos of Hope and Lucky graced the pages of a popular magazine. The response was overwhelming. Donations poured into the clinic, allowing Carlos to expand his services. Volunteers signed up to help, and more stray animals found their way into loving homes. Hope and Lucky became local celebrities, their faces adorning posters and banners advocating for animal welfare. But amidst all the attention and accolades, the bond between Carlos, Hope, and Lucky remained unchanged. They were a family, one born not of blood but of shared experiences and unwavering love. Carlos often marveled at how a blind stray cat and her injured kitten had turned his life upside down and filled it with purpose. One quiet evening, as the trio sat together by the fireplace, Hope curled up on Carlos's lap and Lucky sprawled out by his feet, Carlos reflected on their journey. He thought of the day Hope had meowed at his doorstep, the desperate plea in her voice. He thought of Lucky's tiny, fragile body as he fought to survive. And he thought of how far they had come, not just as individuals but as a family. As the fire crackled softly and the room filled with the soothing sound of Hope's purring, Carlos felt a deep sense of contentment. Their story wasn't just about survival, it was about the extraordinary things that could happen when love and kindness took center stage. And in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of his little family, Carlos knew that their story was far from over. Together, they would continue to face whatever challenges life threw their way, their bond unbreakable, their hearts full. Months turned into years, and the bond between Carlos, Hope, and Lucky only grew stronger. The clinic thrived, evolving into a beacon of hope for strays and injured animals from far and wide. Carlos found joy in seeing not only Hope and Lucky flourish but also in witnessing the countless lives they had indirectly saved by inspiring people to care for animals in need. Hope had fully embraced her new role as the clinic's guardian. Her presence brought comfort to the scared and injured animals that came through the door. Somehow, she seemed to sense when an animal needed reassurance, often curling up beside them, her purring a soothing melody that calmed even the most frightened creatures. Lucky, on the other hand, had become the clinic's unofficial greeter. He greeted every visitor, animal or human, with boundless enthusiasm. His playful antics and mischievous charm never failed to bring a smile to people's faces. Children adored him, often sitting on the floor to play while their pets received treatment. As the seasons passed, the small family began venturing beyond the clinic. Carlos would take Hope and Lucky on trips to nearby parks or quiet hiking trails. Hope, who had once known the world only through sound and scent, marveled at the vibrant colors of nature. Her green eyes would light up as she watched birds flit between trees or butterflies dance over wildflowers. Lucky, ever the adventurer, would dart ahead, his tail flicking with excitement as he explored the wide-open spaces. One day, as they strolled through a quiet park, Carlos noticed a stray cat sitting under a tree, her fur matted, her eyes wary. The sight reminded him of Hope when she first arrived at his doorstep. Instinctively, Carlos crouched down and called softly to the cat. Hope, as if sensing the connection, padded over and sat beside him, her presence a silent reassurance to the frightened stray. It took time and patience, but the stray eventually allowed Carlos to carry her home. She became the first of many rescues that Hope and Lucky would help rehabilitate. Hope, with her maternal instincts, would often take on the role of a guide and protector for the new arrivals, while Lucky taught them how to play and trust again. Over the years, the clinic became more than just a place of healing, it became a sanctuary where animals and humans alike found second chances. Hope and Lucky's story was shared in schools, inspiring children to be kinder to animals. Carlos even started a foundation to provide resources for other veterinarians and shelters to help strays. One evening, as Carlos sat at his desk writing an article for the foundation's newsletter, he glanced at the framed photo of him with Hope and Lucky from years ago. It was a reminder of how far they had all come. Turning his head, he saw the two curled up together on the couch, Lucky resting his head on Hope's side, their peaceful expressions a testament to the love and safety they now knew. Carlos smiled, his heart full. Their journey had been filled with challenges, but it had also been a testament to the transformative power of compassion. Hope and Lucky had taught him and countless others that even in the darkest moments, love could light the way. As the moon rose high in the sky and the soft sound of purring filled the room, Carlos leaned back in his chair, content. They had found each other by chance, but their bond was no accident. It was a reminder that sometimes, the most extraordinary stories begin with a simple act of kindness. And for Carlos, Hope, and Lucky, this was just the beginning of a lifetime of love, trust, and new adventures.